this episode of ATSFE, ATS Fully Engaged Battlefield Walkarounds. These ATSFE BWs are created to discuss the historical situation, components, especially those missing and required for play, any VAT support, and then a deep dive into the module, counters, scenarios, module notes, and the map, of course. So in today's episode, by the way, this is Mitch, I will be taking a look at King Red plus Operation Deadstick. So I'm not sure I need to talk much about the historical backgrounds. Obviously, it's the landings on D-Day on King Red, and then the accompanying British airborne operation to seize the river and canal bridges on the Orne and the Caen Canal. It's June 6th. Well, I guess the night, June 5th, June 6th, D-Day 1944. So what are you going to get in the module? You're going to get 9 map panels, 6 for Operation Deadstick and 3 for King Red, which actually I kind of found a little bit surprising. You'd think the beach landing would be a little bit bigger, but I understand it's just King Red Beach, so it's not the full beach landing. You're going to get 2 half sheets of counters, 1 German infantry, 1 British infantry, and then 1 full sheet that combines both British and German vehicles and weapons and other large counters. You're going to get a 6-page Battlefield Walkaround for King Red, plus 4 scenarios, and then you're going to get a 2-page Battlefield Walkaround for Operation Deadstick and 8 scenarios. We'll talk a little bit about that later. You get a neat little Wiedersehensnestern 33 setup map for King Red. That's the only WN on the map. And then you get a special player aid for King Red as well. Basically talking about lines of fire and things like that for all the special counters that go in there. What's going to be missing? In King Red, all the scenarios call for 656 Germans, but none are provided. I'm honestly not sure if that's a misprint or if it's an ASL counter maybe. And the reason I say that is because some of the scenarios also call for German 436s, and the 3 is underlined on that counter, and I know that ASL uses underlining for its thing. So I'm wondering if that's just a ASL hangover for that, or just maybe a misprint for 657s. Anyway, there's that. Scenario 2 in King Red, you're going to need 9 German 238 teams, but it only comes with 8. I'm sure we all have an extra one lying around somewhere. Saying you're going to be missing an MG34, you're going to be missing a GRW36 mortar. Again, I'm sure most of us have those laying around. For the Brits in that scenario, you're going to be missing 1 658 infantry, 2 Piats, and once again, it calls for an FP2 flamethrower, but it only has the PRT flamethrower. If you recall, we talked about that in one of the other Battlefield Walkarounds. Couldn't really find anything on that PRT, but whatever. And scenario 4 also calls for that same flamethrower, but obviously only has the PRT. And that's also, scenario 4 is the one that called for the German 436s with the underline. So again, that may be an ASL thing. Operation Deadstick, you're going to have that same 656 issue again on about half the scenarios. It also calls for reduced 454s, which I'm assuming is the other side of that counter. So there you got it. And then in scenario 7 and 8, and we'll get into this a little bit later, but again, you're going to be short on Piats. You'll also be short on 2 Piats. You'll be short 2 Bren guns, sorry. It calls for 23 849s, but it only comes with 17. And then on scenario 7, scenario 8, you're going to be short on 849s, Brens, and 1 Vickers machine gun. It kind of is what it is. There's actually kind of an explanation for the 7 and 8 scenario in Op Deadstick, but we'll get to that. But first, let's talk about some of the cool counters that you're going to get in here. So on this vehicle one, you can see you're going to get some LCAs and some LCTs and a Churchill bridge layer and some AVREs and see a dozer right there. Some Sherman 3DDs, some Sherman 5s, some Churchills, some Sherman Crabs. Interestingly, you're going to get some German gliders. Oh no, those are Horsa gliders. Yeah, interesting. Well, there you go. Over on this side, you notice there's this cool little Pack 40. I've never seen that before. There's a 38H 735F. There's this 5cm KWK gun. And there was something else. Oh yeah, these things down here. The WIST CC, SWS 37, the U304F. Some pretty interesting things. You got some fascine and bobbin mat markers. So some pretty neat, cool toys. Those are the casemates that go on the Widerstandsnestern with their arcs of fire and cover modifiers. So that's pretty cool. One interesting thing I wanted to point out, these WIST CCs, you get 2 of them. They're not used in any scenario, but you know, there you go. Speaking of these scenarios, so in King Red, you're going to get 4 scenarios. All but 1 use the entire map. They vary between 7 and 16 turns. 1 and 2 are landing scenarios. So in other words, you're going to use those LCTs and LCAs to get onto the beach. And then 3 and 4 are get off the beach scenarios. Scenario 2 is a big 16-turn landing scenario. You can see, I'm not going to get too detailed, but it covers two sheets of setup. It's pretty cool. And it's also, like I said, it's 16 turns, so it'll definitely last you a while. Let's see, in the Operation Deadstick, you're going to get 8 scenarios. Most of them use just a small portion of the map. Number 3 uses quite a larger portion of the map, and then 7 and 8, which we'll talk about in a second, use the entire map, which is pretty cool because it's a big map. It's the one that has 6 map panels, right? They range anywhere from 4 to 20 turns. That is the shortest scenario I've ever seen, the 4-turn scenario. Where is that one? Of course, no, I can't find it. There we go. So a little tiny 4-turn scenario. Landing zone Y. It's a reduced German squad, a machine gun, an NCO, and a team against 3 Brit squads and some equipment. So funny enough, this is probably the scenario that the OG was talking about when we were interviewing him. Check out the podcast if you haven't already. But you know, he's working on Operation Pegasus, and that's one of the scenarios he's talking about. Like, how do you handle something like that? Well, and here's a 4-turn scenario with a couple of counters. So there you have that. I'll come back to scenario 7-8 in just a second. But there's a interesting, cool thing in Operation Deadstick is you get a multi-scenario campaign. So basically, there's rules on the last page of the back of one of the scenarios. You basically play scenarios 1 through 8 in order, and then there's some special rules for in between scenarios, and then transitioning between, you know, say 2 and 3 or 4 and 5, or how you do all that kind of stuff. So pretty neat. As far as the Battlefield Walkaround, like I said, it comes with 2, one for King Red, one for Operation Deadstick. King Red, you know, it's a beach landing, so you're going to find the rules for surf and beached obstacles, as well as the WN33, the Widerstandsnestern, and those rules for casemates and landing crafts and Hobart's funnies, you know, all the DD and AVREs, the fascines, the bobbit maps, and the Churchill Bridge later. All that good stuff's going to be in there. In the Operation Deadstick Battlefield Walkaround, it's more or less straightforward, but in one of the pieces on there, it does talk about the Commando Rules, where it mentions that 3 bonus scenarios, 7, 8, and 9 are included. Well, you only got 2 because it only came with scenario 7 and 8. I don't know where the missing number 9 is. But it's for those that own ATS Port and Besson or the Commando Personnel Sheet. And that's where those missing 849s and probably the Brens and Piats and stuff would come from. But anyway, you know, I guess you can go buy that counter sheet, or you might, again, have those hanging around to use. So, not sure why, but that's the way it is. A lot of interesting things in there, but 2 of the most interesting rules, the glider counters. Glider counters are not used. Printed gliders supersede, we're going to look at those. The use of these counters, which may be discarded. So, I mean, I guess go ahead and throw away all your counters, your glider counters. You don't need those. And then bonus counters. This is really kind of ironic. More counters than are used in this module are provided as bonus counters for use in your other ATS titles, except, of course, for the bonus counters that were not provided for the scenarios that you need to play. But hey, that's okay. So let's take a quick look at some of the maps. I'm gonna walk around here. So there you go, King Red. That's it, 3 map panels. Interestingly enough, they don't actually overlap, they just butt up to each other. I mean, there might be like a millimeter overlap, but you know, it wasn't really worth trying to get that done. So zoom in, you can see here's all the little different kinds of beach obstacles. There's rules for that. Printed anti-take ditch. Here's the Widerstandsnestern WN33. Like I said, it comes with a neat little handy play aid to help you do the German setup on that. That's it, that's King Red. Very small, very straightforward. Get you your bang for your buck on your beach landings though. And then we have Operation Deadstick. Let me move that out of the way so we can get a gander at that. So there's your 6 map panels. So actually some pretty cool features on the map. So you can see the heights coming down to the canal, and then the river's down here, right? For some reason this is level 0. No, sorry. This is level 0. This is level -10. So one of the cool things I noticed, so they kind of cut the woods away a little bit so you can see where the level 0 ends and the -10 begins. This is the famous Chateau Benouville? Benouville? I don't know. I can't speak French. I'm not sure how much this actually comes into play, but there's a culvert here. You can go from the ravine, I guess, directly into the river, but you can enter and there's no LOS in there. There is a Widerstandsnestern here on the Benouville Bridge, WN13. You'll notice, so here's those printed gliders that we were talking about. This is a printed casemate. It has some special rules that go with it. Zoom in, hopefully you can see that. The Battlefield Walkaround tells you about the printed roadblock. So hope you can see that. Except that it says it's on the Y18, Y19 hex side. Clearly it's on the Y19, Y20 hex side. It's okay. We can deal with that. Some pretty cool stuff. Let's see. So these things are irrigation ditches. They're not quite streams. You know, some costs for moving across, that kind of stuff. That's pretty much it. The map looks interesting, very flat. You know, I mean, obviously line of sight and pancake effect up here, but down here very flat. It's going to be blocked by hedges and things. Some cliffs along here and along here. These are cliff with hedge, I believe. So pretty cool stuff. For me, you know, I've always been fascinated with, well, probably most people have, but the D-Day landings, but especially, you know, the big airborne, the U.S. airborne operations are cool too, but I've always been fascinated with this particular Operation Pegasus, Operation Deadstick landings over here. So I thought it was pretty neat to get that module. Haven't had time to really break it out yet. It does have VATS support, so you can play it online. Maybe Tony or Evan and I will break it out, or somebody else. So for you know what you get, I mean, you get two games in one module. You get a bunch of maps and some counters, and you might have to make up some of the counters either with what you have on hand, or you know, get the Port and Besson product to play the 2 bonus scenarios. But still, there you have it. That is pretty much going to be it. You know, if you've got any questions or comments, I'd be happy to hear them. If you want to check out any of the other things we've been working on, you know, check out our blog, atsfe.wordpress.com, or check out our podcast, ATS Fully Engaged, on Podbean. Otherwise, enjoy.